Welcome to Beer Geek. Today we're concluding our German series with the types of German beer and their crazy drinkware. Let's get started. So here we go. There's around 10 main types of German beer out there, and there are lots of different varieties of those types. So we're going to start with the lagers, and the most famous lager of all, the Pilsner and the Helles. Now I'm sure a lot of you out there are shouting at your computer screens saying, Ollie! Hi! Well, love the show. Also, Pilsners are from the Czech Republic, and you would be right. Josef Groll did create the Pilsner in 1892 in the Czech Republic. But he was a Bavarian after all. So many Germans, perhaps rightly, treat it as one of their own. There are two main types, the Czech and the German. They're both pale lagers with a spicy, crisp finish. The German ones are maybe a little bit lighter and more easy drinking compared with their darker Czech cousins, but they're both just refreshing, delicious types of beer. The Helles is a take on the Pilsner. Maybe it's slightly less hoppy and more driven by the malts that go into it. Drinking a beer with a goat on it? It's more than likely you're drinking a traditional Bock. The Bock is a brown malty lager that's usually around 6 to 7%. They're toasty, bready and a little bit sweet from the Munich malts. A Maibock is a lighter, hoppier Bock that's been released in the month of May. The goat is, well, apparently these beers originated in the German town of Einbeck, and when telephone lines weren't all that great, Einbeck would be rustly muscled and sound a little bit like Ein Bock, which means a billy goat. The goat association was born. The Doppelbock is a very dark beer, usually caramel, rich flavour with sometimes chocolatey or fruity notes for the darker varieties. The Eisbock is the king of all the bocks. Super Bock. For this one, the water has been frozen out of the beer, leaving a more concentrated, darker, richer, just overall hairs on the chesty beer. They're intense, they're fruity, and they're usually around 9 to 14%. The Märzen is an interesting, nutty, bready malty lager that shouldn't at all taste like hops. Way back in the 1500s, Bavarian lawmakers forbade the brewing of beer between April and September to ensure quality. In the warmer months, wild yeast and bacteria could thrive, leading to nasty, spoiled beer for the people. Without an understanding of modern fermentation science, the lawmakers were unknowingly establishing a long-term future for German lager. Fermented and stored in cool caves, the beers were produced in the winter and early spring, and would eventually evolve into the modern Dunkel, or dark, lager. Märzen, meaning March, takes its name from the frantic brewing that happened in the month leading up to this summertime ban. SCHWARZBIER is a little darker than Dunkel or Doppelbock and is the darkest of the German beers. Despite its ominous appearance, it's actually a pretty easy drinking 5% beer with a little bit of light roastiness and just some subtle crisp dry flavours. The Rauch beer divides opinion. It's made with extremely smoky malts, leaving this smoky flavour. Let's go over to the fun fact corner. The Rauch beer is said to taste a lot like meat. A speciality of the Franconian town of Bamberg, the Rauch beer is a savoury style of beer that you're either gonna love or hate, probably hate, tastes like meat. The most famous beers in Germany are arguably their wheat beers, and the most famous of all is the Hefeweizen. Poured into a towering vase-like glass, this southern German speciality is all about the yeast. It's even in the name. Hefeweizen literally translates to wheaty yeast. The beer has a cloudy appearance and an overwhelming flavour of banana and clove. These weird flavours are the direct result of the special yeast strain that goes into these types of beers. There are darker varieties. They pack a little bit more punch. They're known as the Dunkelweizen or the Weissenbock. Altbier was born in Dusseldorf, and it's one of those beers that uses yeast that prefers lager temperatures. This allows for a rich, nutty and bready beer, but with the lager flavours of spicy hop and floral. Kölsch is a similarly made style of beer to the Altbier. It's a little bit warmer, so you get a maybe more delicate flavour, but you still get that hop spice burst. It's a really easy drinking beer, but it can only be produced in the breweries within the city of Cologne. Berliner Weisse or Goethe are just feety. Craft beer drinkers, as we know, love their sours, and Berliner Weisse is a tart wheat beer that's soured through a fermentation with the bacteria Lactobacillus. This is the same bacteria that actually produces lactic acid, which gives yogurt and sour cream their signature tang. Goza is also soured with the bacteria Lactobacillus, but has a couple of weird ingredients: coriander and salt. The final product is cloudy, tart and spicy, but it's genuinely one of the most refreshing beers you could ever have. Albeit a little bit weird tasting. Beer would be pretty useless if we didn't have something cool to drink it out of, and Germany owns cool glasses. The Weissen glass is for wheat beers and has been designed to release the aroma and allow room for the massive head. The Bierstein is the classic German mug that we all know and love. They're made out of stoneware, pewter, porcelain or even silver wooden glass. They're decorative and occasionally have lids, which was supposedly to prevent plague-diseased flies from getting into the beer. The Mass is a litre mug. That is all. The Stangen is a very high and narrow glass, traditionally for Kolsch. The WILLI Becher is a classic beer glass, curves at the top, and has been selling in its millions every year since 1954. The beer boot is a boot, made of glass, for beer. Despite a gimmicky look, they actually have over a century of history and culture behind them. It's generally believed that a general somewhere promised his troops that they could drink beer from his boot if they were successful in battle. When the troops prevailed, the general had a glassmaker make a boot out of glass to prevent the feet smell getting into the beer and from ruining his nice leather boots. Since then, soldiers have enjoyed toasting to their victories with a beer boot. So there you have it, the amazing types of German beer and the stuff they drink it out of. This concludes our mammoth German Beer Geek series. It's been great. We've had history, we've had Oktoberfest, we've had the Munich breweries, and now we've had all the different types and glasses. I hope you've enjoyed it, and it's now in a playlist up there so you can watch it from start to finish. That's all for this episode of Beer Geek. Remember to check us out on Facebook /pint-sized thinking. Check me out on Twitter @Ollie Hayden, and I'll see you next time, Beer Geeks. Thanks for watching.